Okay, good evening. Thank you for coming out to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting, April 3rd, 2018. We'll begin with a salute to the flag, please.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway? Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Okay, let the record show Mr. Galloway is ill, is not able to be with us this evening. Before we begin, I just want to ask for a summary of we had an executive session. We canceled our last meeting on the 20th. Our last scheduled meeting was the 20th of of March. That was canceled due to weather. The board did have an executive session on the 22nd of March. Can we have a summary of the executive session, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At the executive session on March 20th, the board discussed a collective bargaining matter, two matters of potential litigation, and several personnel matters. At the executive session prior to this evening's meeting, the board discussed a personnel matter and a matter involving collective bargaining.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to begin our meeting tonight with a proclamation honoring an anniversary for one of the many churches here in Falls Township. This one specifically is for the Fallsington United Methodist Church, who are celebrating their 150th anniversary. And there's a whole lot of whereases on here, but essentially, having been founded in 1868, 16 would be even more impressive, but 1868, the Board of Supervisors of Falls Township, on behalf of the citizens of Falls Township, does hereby issue this proclamation to the clergy and congregation of the Fallsington United Methodist Church, expressing its sincere congratulations and gratitude for its 150 years of dedication and service to the community, and hopes for many more decades of successful service and dedication. And I know there's a few members here, the pastors here, as well as a few members. I don't know if you want to make any comments before we vote on this, or you're welcome to come up to the microphone if you want.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. And it's, so when you put things in perspective, that the Fallsington United Methodist Church was built 3 years after the end of the Civil War. So it's been a long time, and we've done the church has done so much in the community, and we just love the fellowship and the support that we get from the community, and the way the church supports the community. We have missions that support the homeless, and so we're always out in the community trying to help. So it's just been a real pleasure, especially being recognized for 150 years, and we thank you.
Sure. Well, we thank you. And we appreciate it. We tried to do this last couple weeks ago, but Mother Nature wouldn't let us, so here we are tonight. If there are no comments or questions from board members, is there a motion to issue the proclamation to the Fallsington United Methodist Church?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you very much. We'll give this on there.
Get a picture? Yeah, sure. Get a picture.
Backfired. It's a sneaker backfire.
Thank you so much.
You can cross the line over there. None of them will let you.
I use a video presentation. Yeah.
Hopefully they took their pictures off.
Okay.
Crazy woman is coming back to me. Now I hope somebody has gone and investigated her claims and give me the information so I can say.
Okay, we have public comment as our first official agenda item, and there are no names on our sign-in sheet, and it doesn't look like there are any members of the public, so we'll move on to item number 2, which is to consider an application for intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license for Giant Food Stores LLC. Mr. Gray.
Yes, at this time, a liquor license transfer application is for consideration for the board. Turn this to Mr.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have a motion to open the public hearing?
Is there a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a public hearing for liquor license transfer application to transfer restaurant liquor license number R-11950 from the municipality of Nockamixon Township, Bucks County, into Falls Township. The applicant is Giant Food Stores LLC. The property which is the subject of this hearing is the application for an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license to the applicant's business at 471 South Oxford Valley Road, Falls Township. The hearing is being held for the purpose of receiving comments and recommendations of interested individuals residing within the municipality concerning the applicant's intent to transfer a liquor license into the municipality of Falls Township. This application, which was submitted by Ellen M. Freeman of Flaherty and O'Hara, was received by the township on January 16, 2018. The Pennsylvania Liquor Code requires that the township render a decision within 45 days of the submission of a complete application, or in the alternative, within an additional 60 days at the township's election. By letter dated February 15, 2018, my office notified the applicant's attorney of the township's intent to hold the hearing on the application at the board's March 20th, 2018 meeting, and the hearing was advertised. As you know, that meeting was canceled due to the weather, and the applicant's attorney was notified that the matter would be scheduled for this evening. We have reviewed and found the application to be substantially complete. The Pennsylvania Liquor Code sets forth certain mandatory provisions with respect to the processing applications for intermunicipal transfer of liquor license. Section 4-461B3 of the Liquor Code provides that an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license must first be approved by the governing body of the receiving municipality when the total number of existing restaurant liquor licenses and eating place retail dispenser licenses in the receiving municipality equals or exceeds one license per 3,000 inhabitants. We have contacted the quota department of the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board. They have confirmed that Falls Township has in excess of one license per 3,000 residents. Section 4-461B3 further states that upon request for an intermunicipal transfer, at least one public hearing shall be held by the municipal governing body for the purpose of receiving comments and recommendations of interested individuals residing within the municipality concerning the applicant's intent to transfer a license into the municipality. Accordingly, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board may not approve a new license unless the township first holds a public hearing and approves the intermunicipal transfer application. The township is required to render its decision by resolution or ordinance, and we have provided for the board this evening a copy of a resolution approving the transfer and a copy of a resolution denying the transfer. The application has been advertised consistent with the requirements of the Liquor Code on March 22nd, 2018 and March 27th, 2018. In addition, the applicant has provided public notice of tonight's hearing consistent with the requirements of the Liquor Code and the township requirements. The applicant is represented here this evening by Ellen Freeman, Esquire. Ms. Freeman, you will now have the opportunity to present the application, any information, any evidence you would like, and any testimony you would like, and then you'll make yourself available, and if you have any witnesses here with you this evening, available from questions from any members of the public and members of the board. Do you understand this process, Ms. Freeman?
I do.
Ms. Freeman, have you previously marked any exhibits that you plan on submitting this evening?
I will mark exhibit, we'll just call it A1, which is a packet of floor plans. It's 2 pages. The first page is the overall floor plan of the grocery store with a shaded area which shows the proposed licensed premises. The second page is an enlarged portion of the proposed licensed premises.
And with those two exhibits being marked, you may proceed, Ms. Freeman.
Thank you. My name is Ellen Freeman. I'm an attorney with Flaherty and O'Hara, and I am here tonight on behalf of Giant Food Stores. I also have with me this evening Colin Heap. He is the manager of special projects at Giant Food Stores, and if I'm not able to answer any of the board or the public's questions, I'm sure he'll be able to jump in and answer them for you. And we are here to request that Falls Township approve a resolution which would permit Giant to operate a restaurant within their existing grocery store. And as I understand it, this would be the first major grocery store within the township to operate a liquor license, operate a restaurant within their grocery store. And it is a relatively new concept in Pennsylvania. However, it's not very new in other states. The majority of other states have alcohol sales in their grocery stores, in their aisles. But this trend made its way into Pennsylvania actually almost 10 years ago when the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board first started to approve liquor licenses within restaurants that were operated by a grocery store. So now there are nearly 400 grocery store restaurants that operate liquor licenses within Pennsylvania. Giant Food Stores operate 64 liquor licenses within Pennsylvania. And what is new and where it's come to the forefront just recently was in 2016 with Act 39. And I just want to read a quick paragraph from Act 39 as it restated the purpose of the Liquor Code, and I think it's pertinent to tonight's hearing. It is the purpose of this act to reform the system by which alcohol is dispensed and controlled in order to permit private industry to offer additional products for sale and provide for the operation of a retail system that promotes competition and convenience. And truly, Giant Food Stores is a prime example of the Pennsylvania legislature's intentions to provide consumers within the township a convenient and safe alternative to purchasing alcohol products. With that, I am going to go ahead and pass out the Exhibit A1, which are the floor plans that I referenced previously. As you can see, the first floor plan is the overall grocery store, but the second floor plan is where you can see the proposed licensed area a little bit more clearer. The shaded area is what would be licensed and what would hold the alcohol products per the Liquor Control Board's regulations. Within the licensed premises, there will be a seating area, which will be able to seat up to 30 patrons at a time. And there will also be food options. And it's a lot of the food options that you've seen at the grocery store today. There will be a hot buffet with various entrees. There will be a grab-and-go station where there will be sandwiches and salads. This is located in the back right of the grocery store. And the hours of operation for the alcohol sales within that licensed premises would be Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Giant will be fully RAMP certified, and if you're not familiar with RAMP, that's the Responsible Alcohol Management Program. It was developed by the Pennsylvania Bureau of Liquor Control Enforcement, and it's a training program that each and every associate goes through that works at the Giant Food Stores in order to go through the proper training on how to handle alcohol in a safe manner. It will go through every scenario that you can think of in regards to alcohol, how to spot a visibly intoxicated person and not to sell them alcohol, how to check an ID and use the card transaction scanner in a way that would be able to prevent any use of a fraudulent ID. And with that, every single restaurant associate that works in that cafe area will go through that training. In addition to that, there will be a manager on staff who will go through additional RAMP manager training. And in addition to those trainings put on by the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, Giant Food Stores also has its own policies. And the reason they have additional policies in place is because they have a reputation in each of these communities as an exemplary employer and a responsible operator. So they feel that putting additional safety policies on each restaurant that operates a liquor license is the only way to maintain that. So with that, they have a 100% carding policy. No matter what your age, if you wish to purchase alcohol at the Giant Food Store, you will be carded by an associate. And really the reason for this and the reason behind it is because it takes all the gray area out of carding, out of selling alcohol. It protects the employee. It makes them not have to make a decision whether someone's over 35 or not. And then it protects the public as well to make sure that everyone is being carded. There will be single servings of beer available for on-premises consumption. Giant Food Store's policy is that there is a 2 beer maximum consumption for on-premises. And in addition to that, they require that if a consumer wishes to drink alcohol on the premises, they must also have ordered a food item to dine in and have an actual restaurant experience. They will allow for up to 192 fluid ounces of beer to go, which is roughly 2 6-packs. And they will also allow for 3,000 milliliters of wine to go, which is roughly 4 standard bottles of wine. There will be no sales of distilled spirits of any kind, either on premises or to go, and there will be no wine sales for on-premises consumption, only to go. The on-premises consumption of beer, Giant has noticed at its 64 other locations that it's been a very small percentage of their sales at that licensed premises. In fact, it's close to under 5% at each of its stores. And the reason it's so small is because of a few things. There are no draft beer, there's no wait staff or bartender, there's no entertainment that would keep an individual on the premises for longer than a 2-beer stay. It's also not advertised that you can drink on premises, so I think a lot of the reasons that people don't is lack of knowledge of being able to do it, and there's no advertisements of any happy hours. So really they've found that the 2-beer limit has been effective at each of their stores that have been open and operating. All of the beer and wine purchases must be made on that licensed premises. So none of the other cash registers throughout the grocery store would be able to accept those beer and wine SKUs. And if an individual did put it in their cart and take it to another cash register, they would be notified by that associate that they need to go back to the licensed premises to order it at that register. And there's signage to that effect so that consumers aren't confused on to where to go. There will be security cameras that cover the beer and wine merchandise, as well as the restaurant area and the register, and those will be monitored. It will also be monitored by the associates and the manager that are on staff. And all of these policies and procedures that I just went through are the same policies and procedures that Giant Food Stores has had in place at their other 64 locations. And to this day, none of those 64 locations have ever been cited for any sales to minors, any sales to intoxicated persons, or any violation of the liquor code whatsoever. They have a perfect record. And again, they have a perfect record because of these additional safety policies that they put in place at each of their stores in order to protect their company and their liquor licenses, as well as the township. And with that, I will turn it back over to the board and also to the residents.
Okay, thank you. Board members have any comments or questions for Ms. Freeman?
My only question is, the hours of the liquor sales aren't the same as the store hours?
That's correct. So once the I don't have the floor plan in front of me, but once the alcohol sales are shut down, they lock each individual cold beer door so that those are safe and secure, and then the aisles are also chained off so that no one can get down there to access the merchandise. But yeah, they are limited hours, and at that point, that register will no longer be staffed.
That was my only question.
Mr. Rocco?
No, I don't have any.
Mr. Boraski?
I have nothing.
The one question I had, it seems like a pretty good-sized area, and you had 30 seats. And I'm wondering, it seems like a pretty large investment for, as you said yourself, less than 5% of business, and for people that don't tend to stay, and you're not advertising they can stay and sit. I mean, ShopRite, which is in Bristol Township, but only a couple hundred yards from the Giant, has had this kind of situation. Not this big an area and not this much seating. And I'm in there quite frequently, and it's just you don't really see many people sitting down, and so I'm just wondering why such a big investment of space.
Well, legally, you have to have 30 seats. So I would be surprised. ShopRite probably does have 30 seats. They're probably very creative with their seating, or it could be pulled away at sometimes, the seating. So the 30 seats are a liquor code requirement in order to obtain a restaurant liquor license. Okay. And so that's the reason. I've been into a ton of the Giant Food Stores that have these, and surprisingly, the tables and chairs fit in that small concept. Sometimes it's bar seating, sometimes it's tables and chairs, but it surprisingly does fit in the area.
Okay. No, I'm sure it'll fit. It just seemed like it's, it's a big area to sort of dedicate to a business that wasn't going to take up a whole lot of, or contribute a whole lot to the profit margin, but yeah, that does make sense, so thank you. Staff questions, Ms. Gallagher, Mr. Clark, anything? No?
No, none.
No? And public comment is open on the record as well? Public
Now, if
question?
anyone seeks party status and would like to ask Ms. Freeman or her witness any questions, if not, the board can close the hearing and then take public comment and then make a decision on the application.
Okay, is anyone asking for party status in this hearing? I see none. Okay, so then we'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so the board does have resolutions, one to approve the liquor license transfer, one to deny the liquor license transfer. Is there any public comment moving forward? See no hands. Now, either resolution would have the same number. It would be 1807.
I'll make a motion to
Can
approve.
I ask
Sure.
one question? Yeah. How many liquor licenses do we have now? 30-some?
10, I think it's 10.
We only know that it's.
It's in excess of one license per 3,000 inhabitants, but we don't have that information right in front. We can get that information from you, but for the purpose of these hearings, the determining factor is whether or not there's one for every 3,000 residents, which we've been well over.
Oh, yeah, I think we're at
for the
30
entire
some.
time we've been doing
Yeah.
these hearings.
So that would only be 11 if it was roughly 12 for one every 3,000 residents.
Right,
So, yeah,
right.
And we've done
I
these.
think the last one was like
Doing these
32 or
forever.
33.
So, we can get you that number. We can contact the Liquor Control Board. But
And then there was some verbiage about why we would deny it, or
For what reasons could we deny?
yeah, for what reasons could we deny it?
if the board were to find that certain factors existed, for instance, that the applicant perhaps had a checkered history of having a liquor license in this municipality or in other municipalities, I think if you can, if the setup of where they were intending to bring the liquor license was not one that was going to provide for the proper amount of security in the setting that they were going to bring the liquor license, those would be some of the reasons that you could deny it. I think if you listened to Ms. Freeman's presentation, and she talked about all of the things that Giant will be doing to make sure that this is not going to turn into a place where underage people are able to buy alcohol, or a place where people are going to be drinking a great deal and then getting out of control. If you listen to Ms. Freeman's presentation, all the things she focused on, if they weren't able to do that, that would be sort of a basis to deny it. So.
Yeah, understood, yeah. I guess what bothers me a little bit is the fact that it's coming from Nakamixon, which is, I don't know, 100 miles away or something, right?
Not quite that, but
Yeah, or whatever. So essentially, they could all end up here. Like they could just keep bringing them in from anywhere.
Yeah, and that's essentially what I think the change in the law attempted to do a few years ago, Mr. Rocco, because there used to be that you could just transfer these liquor licenses anywhere you wanted. But what they began to realize is that places like Falls or Ben Salem or Abington or Lower Merion, the licenses were much more valuable in those places because they're more densely populated and people wanted to move restaurants or move bars into those areas. So you're right. A lot of these were flooding in from outside of the area. So the Liquor Control Board set up this process where we were allowed to have these hearings to determine whether or not we thought whether or not we wanted to approve or deny this liquor license being transferred in. And if the circumstances were different, not simply a matter of being concerned about the number that are coming into the township, but if the circumstances were different, you can, there is sometimes a basis for denying these.
It's not the number.
It's not really the number,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I think Cancun was the last one we did, I believe. Right?
We do one for the, we do a firehouse. Didn't we do one for the firehouse?
Oh, Firehouse, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Lauren is indicating Bonefish Grill was one before that.
Bonefish.
The old Wawa, we did one before.
Oh, yeah, old, yeah.
We've done a fair amount of
Yeah.
these, because
Okay.
you are correct that, and especially now that, you know, the liquor laws have changed where a Giant can sell beer and wine, which they couldn't in the past, or where you can now sell them out of, you know, it's easier to buy out of delis and things along those lines. That's why you are going to get more of these in here. Yep, that's right. In Pennsylvania.
All right, thank you for the clarification.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay, Mr. Dent, you were gonna make a motion? Or not? Did you start to make a motion?
I forgot. What was the number, resolution number?
07. 07? To approve or deny, which
I
one?
was going to make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, Resolution 07, approving the application for an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license for the Giant food stores. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, item 3 is consider, let's see, items 3 and 4. We're going to have Mr. Lawson up here to talk about bids for various things for Public Works. We're starting off with sign and post bids. Okay. So, what exactly are we doing sign and posts for, Mr. Lawson?
Sign and post bids are something that you guys vote on every year through the consortium. It's material that we buy for making our signs and posts and stuff like that that we put out throughout the township. We had gotten all the bid totals back, and we are recommending Garden State Highway Products for
All right.
our vendor this year.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Lawson?
No.
No.
None.
Okay, we've used them before apparently, or have we?
Yes, we've
Okay.
used them the last few years.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion, any public comment? See your hands. Is there a motion to award the sign and post bid to Garden State Highway Products Incorporated?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have stone and asphalt bids. Mr. Lawson?
Same thing as the sign and post bid. It is a Bucks County consortium bid put out by Northampton Township. We got the bid tabulations back, and we are recommending that we use Eureka Stone Quarry for our stone and aggregate items. Our blacktop and binder material, we like to use Eureka Stone Quarry as well. And then our QRP, which is our Quality Pavement Repair Cold Patch, we like to use Heway LLC.
Okay, comments or questions?
No.
Okay, pretty straightforward. I think we've used all these before as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
same
okay.
thing. We've used them the last few years.
Okay, is any public comment? So hands there a motion then to authorize the, what's the proper wording? Awarding of the bids, stone and aggregate to Eureka Stone Quarry, blacktop and binder to Eureka Stone Quarry, QPR coal patch to Highway LLC.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lawson. Okay, Mr. Andrews, you're up on the hot seat next. Okay, a couple items for Park and Rec. Item 5 is consider purchase of a vehicle for the Park and Recreation Department.
Yeah, I don't know if many of you probably noticed a lot of the cars in our fleet are the older police cars, the old Crown Vics and so forth, and they're pretty long in the tooth, a lot of mileage on them. They get a lot of repairs. So we're looking to hopefully over time here to replenish our fleet a little bit, get a little newer, a little more fuel efficient, recommending a purchase of a 2018 Chevy Cruze for the fleet.
Okay. And is this off of CoStars?
Would be off CoStars, correct?
Okay. Yeah, so and this is from Bob Fisher Chevrolet, which is in Reading.
Correct.
Amount of $16,784. Next closest bidder was Fred Beans at $17,084. And then a couple more bids higher than that one, so $16,784. Comments or questions from board members?
No. No.
Okay, any public comment? See no hands. Is there a motion then to authorize the purchase of a Chevy Cruze from Bob Fisher Chevrolet in the amount of $16,784?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Okay. And next item is the bus quotes for the summer camp.
Yep, typically each year around this time, we go out and request bus quotes for our summer camp trips. This year for 2018, we tried to get 3 quotes. We heard back from 2 companies. The winning quote, the best quote came in from Student Transportation of America. They've been doing our buses for the last 3 years. This will be the 4th year if approved. They do a great job, very flexible. We need to add a bus, they can add it at the last minute. We need to cut a bus, they'll cut a bus at the last minute. We're only charged for what we use. And they're local and would love to use them again. And they gave us the best quote.
Okay. And the amount will be $5,330. And the summer camp dates have changed. Do you
They
wanna
have
announce that?
slightly, yes, I heard today. We're going to be pushed back 2 days. Camp was originally supposed to run from June 25th to August 3rd. We're going to be starting Wednesday the 27th. Last day for the teachers is the 25th. We have to move in the 26th, get everything set up, and we hit the ground running on that Wednesday. Parents are being notified that have registered so far. We're sending letters out in the next day or 2 to let them know, to give them adequate time so they can prepare for those 2 days that we're shorted on, unfortunately, with the weather.
Okay.
Hurt us this year.
All right, thank you. Sorry
welcome.
for that little
No, that's
interruption in there, but it's comments or questions regarding the proposal to give Student Transport of America the business for the summer camp?
None.
Public comment? See none. Okay, is there a motion then to award the bids $5,330 to Student Transportation of America?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Pullman?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Vaca?
Yes.
Okay. And the next item, I guess, is yours too, huh? Consider an indemnity agreement
Yes, it
between
is.
Falls Township and Middletown Township for the use of the Falls Township skate park. We did this last year, too, didn't we?
We did this last year. If you recall, at Middletown Parks and Recreation, their skate park was in disarray, and they basically had to close that down a few years ago. And they're in a fundraising effort right now to raise money for a new one. So between Parks and Rec, and they have a skateboard committee with their board of supervisors, it's a combination effect. They want them to raise some funds. They ran this event last year. I think they made over $1,000 last year. Again, just trying to be a good neighbor, help them out a little bit, and offer them use of our skate park. They did a great job last year. It's a good turnout. It's open to everyone. It's a great activity for the park. So, I think love to help them out again.
All right, this is just an indemnity to make sure that if anything happens, that Falls Township is not legally responsible for this fundraiser that Middletown Township is doing at our skate park. Correct, Ms. Gallagher? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay. Comments or questions from board members?
No.
Okay, any public comment needed? All right, is there a motion to approve the indemnity agreement between Falls Township and Middletown Township for use of the Falls Township skate park?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, item A, to consider purchase of vehicles for the police department. Mr. Gray?
Yes, there's a memo from retired Lieutenant Airy requesting the board to consider the purchase of 4 new police vehicles from New Holland Ford with funding from the 2018 budget. New Holland Ford is an approved CoStar's vendor and has provided vehicles to the department for several years. The department is looking to purchase a marked car, and actually 2 marked SUVs, and an unmarked car. Total purchase of all 4 vehicles is $139,305. Board is asked to consider these vehicles. In addition, Chief Wilcox is here for any questions you may have.
What was that total again with all?
139,305.
Okay. All right, thank you. Comments or questions?
None.
No.
No? Okay. All right, so any public comment? See no hands. Okay, so is there a motion then to authorize the purchase of 4 new police vehicles in the total amount of $139,305?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay. All right, item 9, consider authorization for advertisement for the 2018 Falls Township Road Improvement Program. Mr. Gray, you want to do this one? You're gonna?
Certainly. The board is asked to consider authorizing advertisement for the 2018 Road Improvement Program. The 2018 road program will consist of full-depth road reconstruction of Share Drive, the remaining portion of Walton Drive, and a portion of Lyons Drive between Share and Walton. The total length of Share will be 2,059 feet, Walton 1,230 feet, and Lyons Drive will be 350 feet. T&M will complete the advertising requirements and provide the plans and specifications to the potential bidders. The advertisement is expected to go out in mid-May. Board is asked to consider authorizing advertisement for this project.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Mr. Gray or Mr. Sullivan?
None.
Everybody's good? Okay. Is there a motion to authorize advertisement for the 2018 road program?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 10 is consider resolution for traffic signal improvement, traffic signal approval from PennDOT for Penn Valley Road and Birch Drive / Galilee Pavilion access. Mr. Gray.
Yes, an application has been prepared to submit to PennDOT. Part of the requirement is a resolution to be accompanied to this. Mr. Lawson's here to discuss this project in detail.
Okay.
Good evening again. At this intersection, we installed pedestrian signal heads that have the countdown numbers on them. Whenever you change an intersection, you have to refile for the permit and that with PennDOT. They ask a resolution to come with it. So any upgrades or anything that we change has to go through this format.
Okay.
So that's what we did there. We added the pedestrian heads with the countdown.
Okay. And that's, again, right by Galilee Village, right?
Yes, Birch Drive, Penn Valley, and Galilee access.
Okay. Comments or questions, Mr. Lawson? No. No? Public comment? See none? Okay, this will be Resolution 1808.
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to approve Resolution 1808?
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, minutes from the February 20th meeting. Comments or questions, corrections?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen.
If none, is there a motion to approve the minutes from February 20th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Engineers report, Mr. Sullivan?
Good evening, Mr. Harvey and Board of Supervisors. Thank you. I have a couple items tonight. The fishing pier the handrail has been completed fabrication-wise and should be installed, if not Friday of this week, then Monday, April 9th, 2018. That is a guarantee I got from the contractor and the installer, and hopefully that is correct.
See Mr. Dent's writing that down, so
There'll be a video played back if I turn out to be incorrect. We got an idea and a quote for the fishing pier to install an aluminum strut to hold the left side of the boat ramp in place as opposed to our piles, which did not fare very well over this past winter. We lost most of them on the left-hand side. The right ones are still there, a little shredded, but we think we can clean those up and install the right-hand side of the boat ramp on or about April 15th, which is our usual time to do so. The price we have from our fabricator is less than $10,000, so it seems like it's a pretty viable option to use the strut configuration.
Okay.
Those are all the updates I have on our capital projects at this time.
Okay. Any comments or questions from Mr. Sullivan?
Can you explain the strut to us that's going to make the boat
Yeah,
ramp?
it's basically a rod. It comes from the concrete ramp that goes out to the far end of the dock, and then the docks are then tied together with aluminum struts, and holds it all in place and goes up and down with the tide.
How high is the elevation change between high and low tide?
It's 8 feet difference
8
between
feet.
low and high tide. Yes.
So I guess the strut's just on a
Hinge?
yeah.
Yeah, I did this before, it's just like that.
So it just swings up and down.
It swings up and down.
Is it still gonna be L-shaped?
Yes. Yeah, the
Now
configuration of the dock doesn't change.
So that's not gonna be supported by any kind of pylons then?
Well, if there's a pylon remaining, we'll use it, but it's not required.
There's one there, you have to go down there at low tide and scoop it out of the water.
Yeah.
I saw it the other day.
The other 3 or 4 are probably there close by as well.
And you think that'll work? And that's something you'll remove in the winter, I assume?
It's something that can easily be removed in the winter, just like they have been in the past.
Okay.
It's not very heavy, so Mr. Lawson won't have any problems with that.
So the strut just detaches from the
Yeah,
front mount on the concrete?
that's correct.
Questions? Yeah?
No.
Mr. Rocco, anything from you? No?
No.
Mr. Boraski, you good? Okay, is there a motion to accept the February engineering report, which is dated March 16th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Bill list. Now, these are the bills from March 20th. Amounts $1,686,855.83. Excuse me. Of that almost $7 million, $1.3 million is money from the state or escrow by developers, as well as insurance and salary. So again, 1.3 of the 1.7 is, breaks down just those couple things. So about roughly a little less than $400,000 is pretty much everything else. And some of that includes contributions to the sports organizations, the baseball and soccer organizations, as well as to the St. Patrick's Day Parade and the American Legion for the Memorial Day Parade. And the newsletter that went out, the mailer that went out as well. So, comments or questions regarding the bill list?
None.
Okay, public comment? See none. Is there a motion then to approve the paying of the bills, $1,686,855.83?
So moved.
Seconded?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay, next would be the police department report. Chief?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening tonight. I have a real potpourri of items for you this evening. This week, we just finished our mock accreditation. What that means is we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's. Different police departments come in and they looked over all our stuff. That is finished. We'll do our accreditation the 23rd and 24th of this month, and we're kind of in rare air with that. This will be our 6th accreditation, and we're one of the few municipalities in the whole state that have been there since the beginning. So that's a real accomplishment on the part of our police department.
How long is the certification good for?
3 years. Sergeant Boschman this week will be meeting with the units up in the county that it's called CJAB, and it's a processing where all the processing centers get together. And in the past, we'll find out how much money that will be returned to the township. In the past, it's been in the 40,000 range. Sergeant Boschman expects it to be in the 50,000 range this year because our processing center has been very busy. All this money, we just can't use it for anything, but it can help to replace the equipment that we have in our processing center there. Now, I have two important things tonight from our DB. Just recently, we had an arson investigation, and together with the fire marshal, our guys were canvassing the neighborhoods, and what they found is they wanted me to put the message out this evening. They talked to all the neighbors in the neighborhood, and the people that had cameras, they were either inoperable or they weren't using the dates right. And the message that they want to get out to everybody is that if you're going to have a camera on your house, make sure that you're using it properly. Make sure it's functioning so it is usable. They had no cameras in that particular neighborhood where they could follow up the arson investigation, and they just wanted to make sure that, apparently I don't have a camera in my house, but if you do have a camera, there's a way to set the dates and times so if they use it as evidence, it can be used that way. The next is our DB has asked me, I'm going to show the members of the board these photographs. I didn't want to bring in the weapons. And what's happening is the juveniles are going out on Snapchat, and the parents are buying them look-alike weapons. One being this look-alike of this 357, I'll show all the panel this, and this automatic. And in this photograph, this is our weapon that we use. It is hard to tell the difference. We have made several arrests on this, and what our DB wants to get out there is to tell the parents not to purchase these things. And if they do, make sure that they're supervised. They have those gas chambers in them, and they fire pellets and BBs. I'll show the board this.
Okay.
This looks like a 357 right there.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's, when this is being pointed at,
Yeah, how would you know, right? And this is pellet or BB? Is that what they're, pellet or BB guns?
yes. I'm gonna make sure that these, I don't have it, like the bottom
That's fine.
says. But I'm gonna make sure that these go out on our Facebook, so the parents can see them.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was good work on our.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Harvey, our last meeting, when we finished, you would ask me about our ordinance and how effective it's been dealing with the motels. I did a little homework on that, and we've made anywhere from 30 to 40 arrests as a result of that ordinance. Information coming back from that. I think that's been very successful. The last thing I have this evening is to thank Lieutenant Airy for his 33 or 31 years of service here. Not only am I losing a good friend, but we all live in this municipality, and he's did one hell of a job for us. And very good cop. And even to his last day, he was working on his budget right up until the last day. That was Lieutenant Airy, and he's certainly going to be missed. Great cop. That's all I have this evening, gentlemen. Thank
Okay.
you.
Just to follow up on a couple of things. First off, I know you referenced it quite a bit, and I know one of the people at the professionals table was asking, you kept saying DB or DB or DB.
Detective Bureau, I'm sorry.
That's right. I understood what it was, so it just
Yes.
was, for everybody else. But the arson issues that we're having just in the past week or so, you mentioned the fact that, we're looking, and I know we talked to Fire Marshal DiPolito earlier today. He was going to a lot of houses and trying to help people, solve this issue. This was on South Olds and Buck Drive
Yes.
area? Okay, just, that was one thing I just wanted to let people know where this is going on. Any evidence, it appears as if people or someone, and it's hard to tell when this was happening. It could have all happened in one night, and people just didn't see it or notice it until days later, and then they reported it. But it seemed to be trying to light cars that were in driveways on
Yes.
fire in random spots. So, right in that area of South Olds and Buck Drive. So, any information people have, certainly, please, call the police department or fire marshal's office. And, but yeah, the cameras, if you have them there, I guess maybe sometimes people think if they,
The rest could just make them sure that they're functional,
yeah,
so they can follow up with them.
right, and the dates I hadn't thought of, but you're right. I mean, if they're not, if the dates are off, and you think you catch somebody doing something at your property, but you
They're
file a
useless.
report on the Tuesday,
Yes.
but your camera isn't dated properly, and your camera says it was Monday, then, you can't use that.
I wouldn't say it's useless, but it certainly helps
Sure.
if you're using the camera properly.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions or comments for the chief?
Yeah, make sure you lock your car doors too, because
Right.
it probably has a lot to do with it.
Well, it's
as
that time of the season, Mr. Dent. You're absolutely right. The only difference is that occurs a lot more when it gets warmer. Right now, the difference in...
Get warm.
Yes, it's hopefully someday.
We'll be cutting our grass in the snow.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. Okay, manager comment? Mr. Gray, just a few things?
Yes, just a few things tonight, Mr. Chairman. The township received several escrow requests, including St. Joseph's Court, located at 9172 New Falls Road. Amount of their escrow release request is $15,300. This is release number 3, and that's a letter of credit. Second is Pexco Custom Plastic Extrusions, 16 Progress Drive. Their request is $40,760.96. This is a letter of credit, and this is release number 2, which is also the final release. Third one is Gilleste Realty, located at 11 Steel Road East. Their request is $360,398.30. This is release number 1, final release, and this is a letter of credit. The fourth is Marsville Dollar General, located at 1279 Old Bristol Pike. Their amount is $428,983.50. This is release number 1, their final release, and that's a letter of credit. And finally, Thomas Gerace, Makefield Turn. His amount is $501. That's a cash escrow. T&M has completed the inspections, and they have been completed to their satisfaction, and they are recommending the release for these escrows. The board is asked to consider this.
Okay, comments or questions on any of these escrow releases?
What was the one, the Gerace one on Makefield Turn? Did they build something
It's a
back
house,
there?
isn't it a house?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the house,
yeah.
okay.
Mr. Sullivan, the St. Joe's Court, is it behind schedule? Do you know?
I think they believe it's behind schedule. It's been a tough.
Seems to be kind of stalled a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a tough
Yeah.
winter. They're going to start looking for foundation permits in the near future.
Yeah.
Actually saw Mr. McGrath today, and that was his plan.
Okay.
But yeah, weather hasn't been conducive to do any kind of work out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the subcontractors who I know, and he said the problem is that right now they're trying to do all the drainage and trying to get heavy equipment, and it's just too wet and everything's sinking, and it just can't, it's just,
Yeah, looks
So-
like it's a mess.
So what was the escrow release for then?
Just a couple items that they completed.
yeah, it's pretty small. It's
Nothing.
15.
It's only $15,000, I
15,000.
believe. There's not a lot going on there.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
It's probably in there.
Now, do you know what or no?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Because I don't see nothing done. That's all it just.
I don't know exactly what they were. If Mr. Gray has it, we can find that information.
It's a long list of items.
Yeah.
Quite a list, yeah. Little stuff,
Okay.
Yeah, they had a,
No, because you said they did the inspection. It was completed to satisfaction. That's all. I was just.
yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, is there a motion to authorize release of all these escrows and letters of credit as outlined by Mr. Gray?
So moved.
Seconded?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Township received donation requests from Historic Fallsington for their Historic Fallsington Day and the Delaware Valley Vietnam Veterans for the 33rd Annual Douglas W. Jones Flag Memorial. Township has included funding in the 2018 budget for $6,000 to each organization. The board is asked to consider these donations.
Comments or questions?
Now, these are standard on our, yeah.
Okay. All right, is there a motion then to authorize a $6,000 donation to Historic Fallsington and $6,000 to the Delaware Valley Vietnam Veterans?
So moved.
Seconded?
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Just want to announce several businesses that opened during the month of February. They include Hollywood Customs, located at 41 Cedar Lane in Morrisville, and Tom McGonigal's Mixed Martial Arts, located at 8621 New Falls Road in Levittown. Just want to make a few announcements as well. The 2018 Bulk Disposal Day will be held on Saturday, April 21st, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. This bulk disposal program is for resident homeowners of Falls Township and Tullytown Borough. Proof of residency is required. It's not intended for commercial customers or contractors. Location is Groves Landfill behind Waste Management's Turkey Hill office, located at 1000 New Ford Mill Road. Residents can drop off bulky waste items, yard waste, and appliances. For additional information, please call 1-800-869-5566. I also want to announce the Falls Township 2018 Spring Yard Waste Cleanup will be held on Saturday, April 14th. Yard waste must be bagged in 30-gallon biodegradable paper bags or placed in 30-gallon trash containers without lids. They are to be placed outside by 6 a.m. And they're supposed to be put at the same location as your regular trash pickup. Branches must be no longer than 4 feet in length, bundled, and not to exceed 50 pounds. Please do not use plastic bags. And finally, there will be a household hazardous waste collection on Saturday, April 14th at Harry S. Truman High School, located at 3001 Green Lane in Levittown. You are allowed to bring certain items, including pesticides, certain flammables, caustics, toxics, batteries, lead acid batteries, propane tanks. Please do not bring various items, including latex paint, appliances, asbestos, explosives, ammunition, gas cylinders. For a complete listing of all the items that are allowed and disallowed, please go to Bucks County website at www.buckscounty.org/recycling. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
What about the states of emergency? Do you have that memo or no?
Oh, yes.
So we have 2 states of emergency that were declared, 7 a.m. Wednesday, March 7th through 7 a.m. Tuesday, March 8th, and then 7 p.m. Tuesday, March 20th through 7 p.m. Thursday, March 22nd. And per the township ordinance, a emergency can be called and has to be ratified by the board at their next meeting. So is there a motion to ratify these 2 states of emergency?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, board comment, Mr. Boraski?
I have nothing.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Mr. Rocco?
I have nothing.
Oh, jeez, okay.
Pressure's on.
Yeah, just a couple things. We made a donation, I think it was back in February, to the Bucks County Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the SPCA. We really had never made a donation to them in all my time, and they did send us a handwritten note thanking us very much for all of the support. And they did notice, or they wanted to let us know, that just in the year 2017, there were 86 different animals brought from Falls to the SPCA.
Wow.
So that's, so our financial support can certainly help. Most of those cats, actually, 44 cats, 33 dogs, and a little menagerie of other animals. Also want to announce the Environmental Advisory Council. Okay. They have expanded a couple times now their community garden. They now have close to 80 plots open for people. This is at the Falls Township Park. However, before you get interested in applying, they are all filled. In fact, they have a waiting list. And so I think it started out with maybe 30-some plots several years ago, or 40 plots or something several years ago. It's basically doubled in size, and there's still a waiting list. And every year they've gotten grants from PICO over the years to expand it. And I think it was just PICO. And every year they expand it, and every year there's still more people who want a waiting list. So, they're really excited about it, and they'll be going out there pretty soon. I'm sure. Can't wait to start planning stuff. Also wanted to make note. Several years ago, after the shooting at Newtown, Connecticut, we did try to do a couple things regarding firearms. The one thing we did do was a gun buyback, which got about 60 guns off the street. And I did want to let people know, and with everything that's going to be going on with gun violence, for those people that may have firearms in the house that they don't want, they just don't want in their home anymore. I've heard from widows whose there were hunting rifles or shotguns that their husbands had, and now they don't want them in the house anymore, don't know what to do with them. You can call the police non-emergency number here at Falls Township, and just let them know that that you have a firearm that you don't want anymore, and they will come and collect it from you. That's basically, they won't be giving any money for it, but that's something you just want to get it out and get it away, and that's certainly something to think of for people that might have children staying at the house, babysitting grandkids, or if someone, God forbid, breaks into a house and takes that gun. Now it could be used, certainly in ways that you never wanted it to be used for, and certainly our police officers don't want it on the street. And I thought it was interesting that what Chief Wilcox brought to our attention, and I shouldn't say necessarily brought to our attention, because when I was about 13 or 14, I had an air pistol that looked exactly like a .357, and I thought it was kind of cool to have it at the time, and never thought about the fact that if it was ever out in the street somewhere, no one would be able to tell the difference. So it is something that's sort of sobering to keep in mind. Typically, guns that are used as toys will have orange caps on them. That's the law. They're supposed to have those. That's really so that police officers who see a kid that has what might look like a realistic water pistol, they can tell with the orange cap that it's not a real firearm. And sometimes people take those caps off or paint them or do something different with them, and air pistols don't have to have those. And so that's sort of a problem, certainly, for an officer who might, whether it's day or night, see a pistol that looks like, or see a handgun that looks like a handgun, and find out that it's just an air pistol that's shooting, BBs or pellets or something. So, there certainly has to be some common sense when it comes to how we treat firearms in the country, whether it's the laws being passed or just, common sense by parents and common sense by gun owners themselves. And most gun owners have that common sense, but, we need everybody to have it. So, good message from the police department. So thank you for that. And with that, thank everybody for their work this evening, and I'll entertain a motion. We are going to have still our regular meeting in 2 weeks. Or this was sort of a makeup meeting from last month, so we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I asked Pete for this and then forgot about it. Some money we saved on streets.